everybody. Welcome to another episode here. You are currently on the island of Misfit tomatoes. Yeah, so we want to show you guys some of the mishaps from the last couple of weeks. So we talked to you originally about sowing seed, and we talked to you about how we did that. We did a video for that. But I want to talk to you about the products that we used and what has worked for us and what has not worked for us. So I want to show you this. This is considered a peat pot. They're biodegradable, and you can get about 50 of them for 10 bucks on Amazon. But I want to compare and show you guys what happened. This is actually what we got from using just the plastic trays. So the difference is like crazy how much healthier and nicer the plants are that grew in the plastic tray as opposed to the plants that grew in the biodegradable pots. So I think there's a couple reasons for that, and I want to tell you what I'm thinking. One of them is when we began, we put more than one seed in these little peat pots. And so when you have a couple of plants growing at the same time, they do fight for nutrients. And so in the second video, I showed you how we basically, you can still kind of see this one. We basically just kind of pinched off that second plant, and we went down to just having one plant so that they weren't like, stealing nutrients from one another. And then the hope that we had was that we would get one really strong plant. And so there's a couple of them that do look good. However, you can see a lot of these don't look good. This one especially. But one of the problems that we're having is maintaining the right amount of moisture, and it actually is holding way too much moisture. So what I find with these is that they're either entirely too wet or they're entirely too dry. And like, it's really hard to tell. We've tried moving them around different areas in the tray. We've tried moving them around different areas under the light. And just like, no matter what we do, they're either like extremely wet or extremely dry. So just maintaining the proper amount of moisture has been really, really hard. And tomatoes are one of those things that don't like to stay wet. Actually, when I plant these outside, I'll show you, we actually do like a little ditching thing around our tomatoes when we plant them. We kind of like make it to where the water can run off of the tomato and down to the root, because they don't like to sit in water. So I think that's part of the problem, that these little pots, like, it's a great idea, save the earth, make something biodegradable. If these guys could go in the ground right now, then maybe the biodegradable pots would have done their job. However, they've only been in them for about 4 weeks, and where I'm at, I can't plant them. So we've decided we're going to try to pick out the healthiest looking plants, and we're going to try to save them and rectify them with possibly some fertilizer, find some nutrients, Miracle-Gro, whatever we can use, and see if we can bring some of them back to life. But one of the signs that you can use with tomatoes is when you look at the leaves on the underside and they start to show purple, then that means that they're like really missing some key nutrients. So we've got some work to do, and I want to kind of show you what that work looks like. So it's going to be a little bit different for each plant. I have some soil. It's the same soil that we used when we planted the seeds. So it's a potting mix, and it's made by Miracle-Gro. And I also have some solo cups, and James took an entire stack and used a drill and a drill bit and put holes in the bottom of it for me. So these are basically equivalent to about like a 4-inch pot. So we're gonna take our plants and put them in these, and hopefully, since we're gonna completely give them like all new soil, hopefully we can bring some of them back to life. I want to show you something else real quick. I actually did plant peas in these little peat pots. These peas are only about 2 weeks old. And so, as you can see, they're still doing really, really good. But they're, like I said, they're only 2 weeks old. So you can see that the roots were already starting to come out the bottom of the plant, of the peat pots. So, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's like little baby roots and they're starting to come out the side. And so, like I said, I'm pretty sure the idea is that you would just put this in the ground, and then, you know, you don't have to mess with the roots at that point. They just go into the ground and they kind of dissolve with the dirt, and you don't have a lot of stuff to throw away. But like I said, just for like maybe a couple weeks, that might be okay. But with these guys being between 4 and 5 weeks old, some of them are even having like mold growing on the side of them. So that's not going to work. And I'm actually thinking that I'm going to go ahead and transplant the other things that I planted in the little peat pots, just because I don't want to take a chance on 2 more weeks losing them and then having to completely start all over. Because at that point I won't have time to completely start over peas. I did start over like some new tomatoes just because the specific kind I wanted to start some more. They might not be here in time, or they might not be ready in time, but they would be giving us harvest a little bit later in the season. So we'll see how that goes. But I do want to show you these, and we're going to transplant into one of these. So I'm actually going to use another cup, and I'm just putting potting mix into the cup, and I'm only gonna put about like 1/4 of a cup in here, like not like 1/4 of a cup like I'm measuring it and like a mixing for cake or whatever, but I'm just gonna eyeball like what 1/4 of a cup is in here, because I want a little bit of soil to be in the bottom, but I don't need a ton, because I actually want to bury a lot of the tomato stem, because I want it to like grow deeper roots, and I want it to get stronger. So can you see on there, like back here? So basically I'm just gonna kind of like squeeze the bottom a little bit and just loosen it up. So this one came out pretty easily. And basically this one is kind of formed really well in here, and the roots look pretty good. Sometimes you might have to like just squeeze it a little bit to kind of loosen the roots up, but this one actually looks pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is just kind of put it in here, and I'm going to go deep. So I'm going to actually cover up these bottom leaves with dirt. That's how far I'm going to plant them down. Not with dirt, with soil. Sorry. I'm trying to sound like I know what I'm doing, so I'm using soil, not dirt. And then so I have some more soil in this cup, and I'm just going to use it. Like, you don't need anything fancy. Like, I have some gardening tools and stuff, but I'm just in my basement trying to make this process easy for anyone who wants to do it. You don't have to go buy a bunch of stuff to start this. I mean, look, we're using plastic cups. And I'm actually going to fill this like as far as I can to the top, because we're going to be needing to have all of the nutrients in the soil that we can get. I'm going to use my hands to kind of push it down a little bit. Otherwise, when I water it, that is going to go down, and then we're going to have to add soil later. So, just pushing it down, and then just actually really just kind of forming it around that stem to give that stem a little bit more strength. All right, so this one looks pretty good. Again, this is one of the ones that came from the plastic trays. So I'm just gonna set that back there. Now I'm gonna show you how to transplant one of these, and to be honest, I'm gonna try to pick one that looks pretty good. So this one's not too bad, but you can see there is still a little bit of like mold growing on the cup. And I'm gonna move these out of the way. All right, so I'm gonna take this one, and basically what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna get rid of as much of the soil as I can, because I want to give it all new soil, because we're going to try to bring it back to life, give it lots of nutrients. If I just take the soil that's here and put it in another cup, it's not going to help. So I'm going to take this all the way down to the roots and then put it in a cup. And this is basically just peeling apart. Some of the ones that are like super wet would probably just fall apart even easier, but I'm going to be gentle because I don't want to like just rip the roots. The roots are definitely attached to the bottom of this, so you just want to be as easy as you can and just kind of like play with it a little bit. Just be really easy, and it'll just kind of pull off. So basically this is what we have right here. And I have this cup already ready with about a quarter of the cup has soil in it already. I'm going to move that out of the way, bring this back over. Some more of the potting mix here, and we're just gonna I'm just making sure that the roots are kind of laying evenly so the plant's not like all lopsided or anything. Just kind of seeing how it's gonna sit, and then just taking my finger and moving the soil around to cover up all of the roots, so there's not like a gap underneath of them or anything. I want to make sure that it's all covered. And then I'm just going to kind of lift these up so I don't accidentally break them, and just pour the soil in the rest of the way. And I'm sure you can totally do this and not make a mess, but it wouldn't be me if I did it that way. So as you can tell, I'm not wearing gloves. I don't have like a big fancy setup, and I'm not like trying to be like perfect. I'm just trying to show you that you can grow food if you really want to, and it doesn't take a lot of expensive things or a fancy setup. You can do it in your basement in the corner with the grow light from Home Depot. I just knocked something over behind me. Ta-da! It was this. Now I'm going to have to make sure I fill it back up again because some of the soil spilled. Because I hit the shelf with my butt. Anyways, so this is one of the ones that we're going to try to rectify. This was actually called a brandywine tomato. So, again, we took that from one of the peat pots. Hopefully we can show you in a couple days that it's doing better than it is right now. Because obviously, when you compare the two, you can see that the ones that were in the plastic like this, you can see the ones that were in these actually did much better. Same amount of light, same amount of water, same amount of time outside. However, huge difference. So just a little FYI for you guys, and hopefully some of you will want to come back and see what happens to the plants that aren't looking so beautiful. So I will hopefully post something in a couple of days to let you see that, and looking forward to showing you the raised beds in a couple of weeks, and showing you how we did our trellis, and what our Japanese noodle beans are going to look like and all that cool stuff. So if you're interested in that, come back and watch some more videos. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're smarter than me and you want to give me some advice, I'm open to that too. So just wanted to remind you guys, it's almost summer. Hang in there. We'll see you soon.